This listening video is based on a true story that happened in 1997. However, I have slightly altered the facts to protect the person's privacy. Let's begin this story called When Tragedy Hits. In 1999, Terry Smith drove for a living. He was a cab driver. He was a single man who didn't have any children or a wife, and he slept in a caravan park on the outskirts of Melbourne. It was a cold winter morning when he was out in his taxi, driving around looking for passengers. It was so cold that no one was out on this particular morning. The winds were very strong, and it was pouring with rain. As it so happens, he was very lucky that he didn't have any passengers. All of a sudden, as he was driving around a fairly steep bend, he had a head-on collision with a truck. This was a terrible accident where he lost control, thus not knowing who would have been in the wrong. Sometime later, he woke up in hospital with no memory of what had happened. A doctor in a white coat was standing beside him, telling him what a lucky man he was. Terry had some broken bones, but nothing too serious that required emergency surgery. After a few days, Terry was released from hospital. About a week later, he was at home at his mother's house and taking prescribed medication to avoid pain that he gained from the accident. He seemed to be fine with this medication, but all of a sudden, he reacted badly at around 5 p.m. that day. As he stood up, he had a severe heart attack. He dropped to the floor, and once again, he woke up in a hospital bed. After feeling very drowsy, but awake, this doctor told him that he had been clinically dead for over 10 minutes. Miraculously, he gained consciousness once again. There he was with his family by his side, his mother, sister, and brother. It turns out that he was allergic to the second dose of medication that the doctor had prescribed. That night, as he lay in his hospital bed, another tragedy was about to unfold. He had a convulsion, and again he slipped into a coma. When the nurse came in, she pressed the alarm buttons, to which a doctor and 2 more nurses came running in. Even though Terry had a heartbeat, he was put onto life support, and there he would stay for approximately 2 months. The convulsion was so bad that the doctor told Terry's family that should Terry wake up, he will no doubt have brain damage and significant cognitive damage. The doctor said that the kindest thing to do would be to turn off the life support, because as a result of so much trauma, he would end up being a living vegetable. His family was devastated. They didn't know what to do. What a terrible decision to have to make. Turn off the life support or not? The family thought about this for a week, and after much deliberation and discussion, they decided that turning off life support would be the kindest solution. There it was, the decision made to turn it off on Sunday evening. As they were driving to the hospital and coming into the car park, Terry's mother, not being able to contain herself, crying and hyperventilating, she slowly got out of the car with Terry's brother and sister. They slowly walked to the hospital from the car park. As they entered the ward, a nurse came to get them, to take them into Terry's room. About to turn off the life support, they gathered around the bed, saying their goodbyes, holding Terry's hand and weeping. Lo and behold, within 5 minutes, a miracle happened. Terry once again woke up. He came out of his trauma and his mother was jumping with joy. The doctors declared that it was indeed a miracle. 2 years have now passed and Terry's life has significantly progressed. He was a very lucky man indeed, so lucky that his whole life had changed. After doing some study, he got a new job and had met a wonderful woman with whom he got married. His wife bought him a lottery scratch card for his birthday. When he scratched it, he couldn't believe it. He had won a car. And if that wasn't enough, 1 year later, for his birthday, his wife bought him another scratch card. As he scratched the card, he couldn't believe his eyes. He had won $500,000. Thanks for listening. If you haven't, hit subscribe and the bell for many more to come.